and gentlemen, my DIY front loader backhoe build. I saw a mini excavator on Facebook Marketplace, the coolest little video, maybe you've seen it. I had to have one. I really don't have any reason for it, just besides wanting it. It's like an adult toy. But I looked them up and they're like $8 grand. So I decided to build my own. I don't really have any objectives on what I'm going to do with it after I build it. I mean, there's a lot of things I can use it for. So it's just, I just wanted the challenge, really, to see if I could actually build this thing. I didn't know the first thing about hydraulics or how they worked, but this day and age we have YouTube and we have the internet. You know, if you have the internet and a device, you can pretty much figure out anything. It's a beautiful thing. So here's our subject. It's a 1992, I believe, Ingersoll 3016 Hydriv, however the heck you say that. It just means it's hydraulically driven. So what's real convenient about choosing this one as a platform is basically the rear end is driven off a hydraulic motor. That means it already has a hydraulic pump down in here. You can barely see it. You might be able to see it. It's just a little guy. I think it's a gear pump. I'm not sure. Could be a little piston pump. I haven't looked that up. But yeah, so fluid circulates through this pump here and goes to the rear end. If you want to move forward, this is basically a hydraulic valve here, forward, reverse, which makes the hydraulic motor work. Unlike other, common garden variety riding lawnmowers, this is a little bit heavier duty. It's all solid steel. I thought it was great for this build, and it was only $100. I almost just tripped on my jack here. But yeah, for $100 you can't go wrong. Also, it has another little piston, hydraulic piston for the mower deck. Down in there, you can barely see it. Here's the top of it. This is where one of the hoses was connected. I just disconnected the hoses from that and connected those little hoses to my two hoses here, leading to my new hydraulic cylinder. Up here, I used what I had. Basically, I looked on Marketplace for old wood splitters that were really cheap and broken down, because a wood splitter has literally everything I need. It had, this one I found had 2 cylinders. Here's one of them. I painted it black just because I had to park this guy outside for like a few hours, and I didn't want it to rust anymore. But that was yellow. And then here's the other one, which is just massive. I don't really have any plans for it. I might check the seals on it and list it. But it also had a bidirectional spool valve with 2 levers on it. I think I said that right. Turns out I didn't need it, because this valve here works just fine to work this one piston. I'm going to have to add the other valve when I put on the next piston for this front bucket that I just made. The bucket, I just welded this up tonight, fabbed it up. It's real basic. As you can see, it's kind of like a little scoop. But it's made out of really thick plate steel, 1/4 inch, which is kind of thicker than I wanted. I actually paid for that too. I bought it from the scrapyard because I didn't have a lot of sheet, good heavy sheet steel. I contemplated, framing this bucket up too and using the sides off a washer or an old dryer, but I didn't end up going that route because I just, that probably would have been too thin and broke. The rest of the steel I have collected over the years, just free scrap, basically. Anything I could save that was savable or usable. I really had no intention for it back then. but I saved it anyway because I'm a bit of a steel hoarder or material hoarder, things I can use. But yeah, it's coming along pretty good. This is maybe inch and a half galvanized pipe. If you ever weld galvanized, be real careful. Hard lung. You know, somebody probably comment on this anyway and say, yeah, watch out for hard lung. The old timers always do. You want to grind off the galvanized coating when you're welding something galvanized and, you know, have ventilation. I have an exhaust fan up here for such a thing. Decided to go with a single piston design because I don't have a lot of hydraulic cylinders. Hydraulic cylinders are really, really expensive new. One this size could be upwards of $1,000. Yeah. And that just wasn't in the budget for this. You know, I wanted to get it as cheap as possible just to see if I could do it, if I could build it. What else? The lines came with the wood splitter. There was a guy selling a motor on Marketplace, and I ended up, you know, going to look at the engine, and it was just too big. Because I do have another one of these tractors outside and needs an engine. Pretty much same setup, but it's a New Holland. But he did have all these. These are really big hydraulic cylinders buried under my pile here. And I intend to use at least a couple of these for the backhoe build, which is really ambitious. And this little one right here is going to be for the front end. Here, might as well carry it over. But I got these for $10 a piece. I couldn't believe it. You know, he was just like in a sell everything. I gotta move mood. Yeah, this little guy is, it'll work perfect for the pivoting. And I'm gonna make a cross member up here with a pin and a hinge, and then weld the hinge onto here, you know, so the bucket can hinge up and down. It's pretty cool. Let me start this up. Yeah, that's where I'm at so far. Almost there. It's almost done. You know, the front end at least. I'm gonna have to put a bunch of counterweights on the back. I might use an old engine block. I have some real thick, solid cleats too. I don't know if they're called cleats, but they went under railroad tracks. I think that's what they were, to support the railroad track on top of the, you know, the wood beam. So I got a stack of those. I got some real heavy old industrial steel. I'm sure I'll figure something out as far as the counterbalance on the rear end, because, you know, I was driving it around the other day just to get it out of the way so I get a car in here, and it was spinning the rear end. So there's already, even without this bucket on, there's a huge imbalance of weight, which is my next biggest obstacle. But I hope this inspires somebody. If you're thinking of doing the same thing or taking on a real ambitious project, you can do it. You know, where there's a will, there's a way.